All
Hello,
right.
everyone, and welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with me today. It's such a great honor to have her here on the podcast. Please welcome nail artist and the founder of Neat Nails Always, Miami Ashlee. Hello, Miami Ashlee, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I want to go ahead and get started by asking where you're originally from and tell us a little about your upbringing.
So I'm originally from Miami, Florida, and I am born to migrants. So both of my parents are Haitian. They're born in Miami, in Haiti, and my dad's born in Bahamas. And so I pretty much had a cultural background,
Mhm.
very focused on education, very geared, very just to the point. And so I mean, I had a good childhood, but it was very all over the place. It kept us pretty active as much as possible. My grandparents never spoke English, so we end up being their translators majority of the time, which kind of led to what I'm currently doing right now, which is an EO teacher. And so there
Mhm.
is a lot of cultural influence. It has a lot to do with what I'm doing. And so my upbringing was mainly just stay focused on what you're doing and just keep pushing it.
Mhm. You're right,
Mhm.
absolutely. Now, did you have any hobbies or interests growing up before getting into nails?
So believe it or not, nails was the hobby. So nails was the go find you something to do, downtime where you can get lost, nobody's in your way, you're not in nobody's way. And
Mhm.
it just became a thing. My mom used to take me to the nail salon when she would get her nails done, and I was always interested. And so it just became a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way.
Hmm.
My mom used to take me to the nail salon to get her nails done, and that's
Hmm.
what my interest as well. So, we have that same, relation to that.
Hmm. So yeah, that was it. So once she got me going, it was kind of like the thing to do. So I just stuck with it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Now, who or what exposed you to the nail industry?
My mom.
Mhm.
My mom is the one, she's very meticulous. My mom is very into jewelry, fashion. So I kind of took after my mom and I just took it to the extreme. So my mom was the nail guru. She pretty much had to have her nails a certain way, and the French had to be a certain way. The red had to be laid a certain way. And so I learned all of my meticulous skills from her.
Mhm. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. So you have your own nail business. So tell us more about your nail business and what was like the journey like of having your own business.
So I was working in reverse. If reverse was a person, like I did everything the opposite. Like, I became more business savvy, I think around like year 5, but mainly I focused on in year 1 through 4,
Mhm.
grabbing the skill down. But I've been doing nails since I was 17. So I had a license since I was
Mhm.
17. I just
Mhm.
didn't do the business aspect of it. So it was mainly like something I did for me and my friends, and then like
Mhm.
through college it became like something lucrative, and then from there it
Mhm.
was like you could take off and do a business. And I think Instagram a lot has a lot to do with that,
Right.
because social media plays a big major role in actually like how much we're exposed to and how much we can actually see. And so I
Right.
didn't even know that nails could even go this far until I kind of explored social media.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Now, while building your business, have you faced any obstacles while building your business?
I think my biggest obstacle is people interaction, even though a lot of time people think that it may not be a big thing, but that is my biggest issue that I have, because people now tend to judge you off of what they think and not what they know. So I spent a lot of time in my business trying to explain who I wasn't.
Right.
And it was never about if I can do the work or not. I've always can do the work, but then it always became when you had to learn to set boundaries when people were taking advantage, and then you had to set the boundary. Then it comes to character assassination, and now people are hesitant to want to do business based on what they were told, and what they're
Mhm.
told necessarily may not be factual, but that's what they're going off of. So my biggest obstacle in my business was always defending my character. Like, and I got into a point where I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that anymore, because everything else was just pretty much cut and dry. um
Mhm.
you know EIN, doing this, everything else to me wasn't as hard. More so is an experience,
Mhm.
I would say. And
Mhm.
so it was more so the experience for me in certain aspects, but what the hard and most difficult obstacle was constantly having to explain my character.
Mhm.
I'm a very assertive person. I was raised to mean what you say and say what you mean and don't
Right.
sway. Pick a side and stay there. And
Right.
so I'm very firm on that. And I think a lot of people are not raised like that. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that my grandparents were migrants. So they already knew we had some obstacles against us as far as being black women, being educated, and then being from foreign migrants. It was just a whole thing that was going to be an issue for you. And so you have to mean what you say and say what you mean and be assertive. And I think people aren't used to people just being direct. And so the
Right.
direct now is perceived as being rude, or the
Mm,
direct is being perceived as lack of character. And it's very much so not that. It's just, through experiences with life, you've had to learn to set boundaries for certain things because you've allowed things to just run amok. And then
right.
you're taking a break, and then you're trying to explain yourself on social media, and it's perceived as lashing out or running on a rant. And then at that point I was just like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this no more. And so that was the biggest obstacle I start to see and I've experienced. That's pretty much it for me. Everything else was just an experience. Like, you just had to go through it to know. Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think also too, like, with the whole defending yourself, it can be tiring. You know
Oh
what
my
I'm
god.
saying? And it is so mentally draining where you have to
Oh my god.
explain to people,
Oh
you
god.
know, how you are and how you do things and things like that. So it just gets really, really annoying. It's like, okay, I'm done. I'm finished.
It is such a double standard. I'm trying to find my way in this camera because it's on the opposite way. I do it that way. Okay, so it is so exhausting
Right.
to one, be educated in what you're doing, and then you have to meet people where they are at the same time. And my head's getting on my nerves. Meet people where they are at the same time, and then eventually at some point in your business you have to be serious about it. And being serious about it is when you stop playing games. And then at that point, some people enter in the industry, and I remember when I was 18, it's fun to them, and it's just a game. It's fun. It's just like about making money. It's great making money, but I've
Hmm.
been making money. You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
now it's like, how do you now change your arena of people so you can grow and expand your business and expand
Right.
your expertise? You have to shed some of that out in order for you to enter in some of these rooms where they don't tolerate that in their businesses and they're thriving. And
Right.
then, here it is, you've allowed this, and then they ask you why, and you're perplexed because you can't answer the question. You allowed it
Mhm.
because you want to be cool, you want to be this and that, and it's like,
Right.
no.
Hmm.
When it gets down to
Exactly.
money, it's green. But I do know, being in the community of African American, the brown and the black community, it's a double standard when it gets down to us. It's a big time double standard. And so it's a certain expectation that's already set for you, and then other people get to pass, and then you're confused in your business as well, because now it's like, well, how do you maintain a successful business
Right.
and sustain the criticism? And so then now nail techs are now stuck on feeling like they have to be a suite owner. You can really disguise and hide in a group. You necessarily don't have to be like the main attraction. Like, sometimes being at the table is better than being at the head of the table.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I think people look at the glitz and glamour of
Mm-hmm.
like the nail industry, but people don't understand the work that goes into it and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Especially being like a celebrity nail tech. Like people look at like I want to do celebrities, but it's like you
Right.
don't know the ins and outs in
No.
regards of dealing with that.
No. Like, I've done set life, and like a lot of people are like, I don't brag about it. I don't say anything because it was an experience that kind of like makes you wonder if that's something that you can do long term, or if that's something you just did for the moment, for the experience. Like, I've done set life,
Yeah.
I've done commercials, I've done that stuff. And one thing about it, it wears you out a whole different way. And you have to be a certain type of nail tech to be a celebrity nail tech. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm give me your roundaway girl, okay? Like, I don't like the last minute indecisiveness. I don't like to stop me in the middle of my day because now you want to change your nails, and now they're really wanting me to stop the middle of my day, forget all of my clients now, and make
Right.
you the priority. It's like, yeah, anyway, so no, I don't want to do that. And I turn a lot of opportunities down, because I'm just like, I just don't want to be slang like that. And they
Mhm.
feel that because you are good, and because you could benefit off their experience, that's the treatment that you want, and I don't. And
Mhm.
so, mm-mm, mm-mm. it's
Yeah.
it's a different beast. And it's like, if the money's good, then okay, yeah, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. But
Mhm.
when you have to wait after you've done set life 24, 22 hours, but you have to wait 30 days to get paid. Oh, a lot of people think of the money coming in right now. Oh, no, no, no. It's coming in 30 days. Like,
Hmm.
so you have to think about that. Like, what do you
Right.
offset? And so a lot of people don't know that even when you do celebrity, sometimes it's hit and miss. Some of them might pay you right then, and some of them might wait to pay you. And some of them might not pay you at all. So
Right.
it's like, you really want to do that? And a lot of people aren't given the ins and outs, but I've experienced it. And I tell people the only way people to learn is to hear through experiences so they can break the chain.
Hmm.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's ooh,
Hmm.
yeah.
And another thing that I've really, have heard like a pattern of is that, we shouldn't see each other as competition,
Right.
and it's there's no competition and things like that. And here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, like us as black nail techs and nail artists, we have to work 5 times harder, if not 10 times harder than anybody else. I just watched a movie about the black first black violinist in the late 1700s,
Mm-hmm.
and the white man told, which was his father, told him and said, you got to be exceptional. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what other groups don't understand. Non-black groups
Mm-hmm.
don't understand is that we have to be exceptional. That's the standard, and that's just how it is. We have no choice but to compete as black nail
Correct.
tech artists.
Right. And so it's like for me, I don't see competition to be honest, and I think that's another within itself for a lot of nail techs because they think that I have an attitude. No, I don't have an attitude. I'm just not about to get in competition with you. When you know you're good at something, and I know I've had some years on you, I'm not even
Right.
about to. It's almost like you picking a fight with somebody that you know you're gonna win. It's not a fair fight to me. And so I mean, I've been doing nails 19 years. I mean, I've been doing nails longer than some of these nail techs even knew what nails were. So it's like it's not even a fair competition at some
Right.
point. And so I'm very encouraging. Like I tell nail techs, get it because however age you were when you were doing nails, I remember when I was that age doing nails and I was doing my thing. So it's like
Hmm.
stay in your age group, but as you get
Right.
older, your clients are going to also alter according to how you are as a nail technician. So with me now being 36, majority of my clients now are in their 30s and in their 40s and mid 40s. And so I don't service 18, 21-year-olds anymore. I don't have the energy for that anymore. I'm not there anymore. So it makes sense as to,
Right.
the younger generation nail techs now are booming and popping. Yeah, let them have it because literally 5 years ago, that was us.
Right.
I mean, truth be told, when we got on social media, we was popping. Like,
Hmm.
let them have it. And I think now the problem is that you have the new nail techs and the nail techs in the middle and the vets and everyone's competing. But I'm like, if there's no competition, if there isn't a crowd.
Hmm.
So being in silent competition with someone that doesn't know you're in competition with them shows a sign of insecurity. And a lot of people don't know that. They're walking around displaying their insecurity and disguising it as, you know, um, the likeness for nails, but it's your own insecurity because you haven't built your confidence to just be okay with not being in competition at all. And we have to compete against other races, but we don't have to compete against each other.
Right.
And but
Hmm.
other races are competing against us, not
Right.
against each other. And so one thing when I was watching the Olympics, and I forgot which athlete said this, other countries have to compete against the world to
Hmm.
be the best. But we compete against each other and we win the title. And so for some people, they're not equipped, to that type of energy,
Hmm.
and so we also have to understand too that in other countries, their main objective is to win by any means necessary,
Hmm. Absolutely.
and don't not against your own is against everybody who's not with y'all. We
Hmm.
don't have that concept. We have been convinced separatism is our best option, and we've literally are operating in that sense. And the industry now, if anyone's paying good attention, is divided. It's very divided, and it shouldn't be because it's so much that we can do. And when
Hmm.
we all work together in numbers, we really are the show. Like
Right.
everything interesting is right here. But we're
Right.
so focused on everybody else, we forget how great and creative we are individually and then put it
Hmm.
together as a whole.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I'm tired of being part of the problem. I'm just going to be part of the solution, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, start from the ground up and do something different. And so,
Hmm.
um, that's been my main thing is just like kind of seeing where the niche is and kind of like pumping and pausing because The
Right.
wheels are all rolling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just some are going to be newer wheels, some are going to be rotated wheels, and some are going to be put up. And it's just how it goes. The wheels on the bus just keep rolling. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing is like as we get older, we have to eventually start looking into other things that we can do that keeps that industry for us popping. Because I always said I didn't want to be doing nails for 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to transition, you know, climb the
Right.
ladder because by
Mm-hmm.
climbing the ladder, you provide inspiration for those who may see that they know that they can't sit in the same place for too long. And so that's kind of like where I've been at for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I've been quiet because the hype, I mean, I'm past the hype now. Like, I mean, I'm
Right.
almost 40. So it's like things are getting a little different now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
got to figure life out. So that's pretty much it. And I mean, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing because the industry is literally doing a 180.
Right.
Like I'm watching everything in reverse. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know it, but I do. Like I've watched French take over the industry for years, and
Right.
then when French takes a back seat, then the 3D is going to come back, and then
Mm-hmm.
when the 3D take a back seat, then the artwork and the stone is going to come back. So I mean, I'm just enjoying what I'm watching. This is like my third go round of watching
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to get into you being a certified medical nail tech. So what's the difference between being a medical nail tech versus like a licensed nail tech?
Okay, so a regular licensed nail technician is a nail technician who just goes to basic school that the state provides the testing for and the standards for.
Mm-hmm.
A licensed medical nail technician, you have to have your clinical hours under a licensed board certified podiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you learn different ways to attack um, the toenails. Whereas, well, I better explain it is you learn a better sense of pathologens and you start getting a better sense of how things happen to patients over a long period of time due to non-experienced nail techs because medically that's not something you can learn online. The
Mm-hmm.
nail industry, which I love it oh so much, has literally turned into something that you can just learn on YouTube. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
require much. You can buy the products on Amazon and you get to going tomorrow. But
Mm-hmm.
because of that, there has been the lack of knowledge explained in sanitation and sterilization, which has
Right.
led to the long term effects of clients that now cannot get service that way. And now they have to seek a different alternative option to retain the same thing. And a lot of
Right.
times, that comes from non-experienced nail technicians or nail technicians stuck in their ways. And
Mm-hmm.
so I used to do reconstruction all the time. My grandmother had diabetes, so I always had to debride her toenails. I always had to do that for my grandfather and my grandmother. And so that's been something I've been doing for a long time. And another nail tech reached out to me and felt that it was time for me to take it to another level because the nail industry would only frown upon it because it wasn't state board geared. It was more geared towards the podiatrist side of it where it's covered under a board certified podiatrist. So at that
Mm-hmm.
point, it actually allows you to go a little more in depth in what your skill set is. And so a
Right.
lot of people think, oh, well, you're just an MMT. Yeah, the difference is a lot of the new trend now that we're seeing with the toenails being reconstructed. Well, legally, a non-medical nail licensed nail technician is not authorized to do any of that. You know, but the state board is not regulating it, right? So when it
Right.
becomes a long-term issue, they go to the podiatrist. And then when the podiatrist starts the treatment, but the podiatrist cannot create the illusion of the beautification, that's when I get called because now you have to have a liaison between the nail industry and who works with podiatrists. And so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of nail techs don't know that it's pretty right now, but you're really doing a client disservice when you're not educating them on the healthiness of what you're doing. The product is just what it is. It's a product, just like it's my wig. It's a wig. However, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
treat what's underneath it, you don't treat what's it's sitting on, then this can be a hindrance and a problem. And so
Right.
that's the new nail trend going on right now, where they're like people toenails have traumatic trauma, but no
Mm-hmm.
one's wondering or asking the question as to how it got like that. We're
Mm-hmm.
not born with our toenails like that. None of us are. None of us are born with that. And that's what made the medical get into a part. And the podiatrist that I work with is one of the starting um, educators and leaders of it because of how many lawsuits were happening in the sake of going to the nail shop.
Mm.
See, the thing is sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes a client can literally walk into your establishment with what can cost you a lawsuit. But because you want the money right now, you're quick to work on them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. So when I got my medical nail technician license, and I went further into it, it really just showed me where I really can get my money
Mm-hmm.
and where it can hinder me in my money. And so it separated me working on things that I wasn't comfortable with for the sake of money. And a lot of nail techs are just working on people because it's just like, well, I mean, it's this is what the client want. Yeah, but the client is now out of $250 and they still don't have the problem fixed.
Right.
I mean, they're eventually going to wake up and realize that you weren't helping them and they're going to leave. So that money is only temporary. It's not longevity. So I'm at the point in my life where I need longevity money. And so with me having longevity money, that's guaranteed money. And
Right.
so all my money moving forward is going to be a little more guaranteed. I'm a little older now, so Russian roulette money is not what I'm into. And that's pretty much the gamble that you play right now as being a nail tech. Because nobody is regulating it. All the products can be bought on Amazon, and the person can just go and learn how to do nails tomorrow, and get on social media, and get a cutie scheduling, a PayPal, and no one's going to question if they're licensed or not.
Mm-hmm.
But medically, you're going to know the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, exactly. And the thing is also too, because I seen a video 4 years ago from Long Hair Pretty Nails' page on YouTube, and you did her
Mm-hmm.
nails for
Mm-hmm.
the Nail Tech tour, and you mentioned about how you was getting criticism in regards to, being a medical nail tech and fixing trauma on people's nails. So
Mm-hmm.
when do you, as a licensed medical nail tech, when do you recommend someone to go see a podiatrist or a doctor for the nail trauma?
Um, when that toenail looks like green mold, ah,
Mm,
it's there's an odor that comes from those toenails. It's
mm,
supposed to get checked out, and it's too much moisture in it. And when I see it like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to get that checked out because it it's not in a normal state.
right.
I mean, I've had enough nail trauma personally to know the difference. Like I've lost my first toe on my left foot. I've lost
Mm,
5 toenails completely straight out lost them. And
mm,
I've also seen people lose them and they've had hematoma where the nail never was debris of the blood and the nail rotten out. Like I don't know if people remember biology. This is simple
mm.
going back to school on just understanding physics, like the body anatomy. Any moisture that gets trapped in anything is going to leave a mineral behind, and that mineral now is a fungus-like organism that starts to mimic a fungus when it's not. However, if your body has no idea what this foreign object is, it's going to treat it as if it's a fungi and it's going to react that way. And so a lot of nail trauma that I'm viewing is trauma that should not be worked on at all.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Like if those people wanted to pursue a lawsuit, every nail tech would be at a loss.
Mm,
So by me doing the medical nail technician, it allows me to cover my butt a little bit. And then I can service and find and be trained by the right professionals and then have the right products to service the clients. So at that point, I'm not putting acrylic over a trauma toenail because it looks good. Well, guess what? In 2 weeks, it's not going to be worth anything because when the water goes underneath it, the nail is just going to mush.
right.
And so, but people want what they want. So what do? And
Mm,
so I was getting a lot of negative backlash with no one even knowing that I was certified to do what I was doing. So the
mm,
criticism gotten so bad, and I was like, it oftentimes kind of like jaded me a little bit
right.
because it wasn't even the nail technicians, it was the older educators. And then it was like y'all had no idea as to or even gave me the benefit of the doubt that I may have been onto something that you have not discovered yet. And so what was happening was when the criticism was coming to me, it was school owners attacking me, not realizing that I don't have 1 degree, I don't have 2 degrees, but I'm a master. I have a master's degree in curriculum and understanding what verbiage is, and I read the law. I have to. I mean, I teach
Right.
ninth grade biology. I'm an EL teacher. So one thing we have to
Mhm.
understand what are interchangeable words that can be used. And that is not illegal. And believe it or not, it's not. Working over fungus is not illegal. However, it is unlawful to diagnose someone as something as if you know what you're talking about and then proceed to treat them. That's when I knew a lot of people were teaching the text and not understanding the book. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, this is with the difference because I comprehend. And so at that moment, because I was being attacked like that, telling me that they're afraid of, people, they're afraid of people calling state board on me, not realizing that me and state board had already talked about things that I felt that needed to be changed because it was kind of shaded on how it was explained. And so then the attacking would come. And then when I would tell them, go back and read your book, and I will
Mm.
quote the text, everyone goes silent. No one apologizes when they're corrected after criticizing me, but they want me to be the one apologizing for people being offended by what I say. I don't
Right.
work in a double standard like that. And no,
Mhm.
I don't. And so that's really been what the criticism has stopped for me, because I realize we have a lot of people who are just because everyone have a capability. We're all certified to do this. That's it. But I have a teach I'm a teaching. I have a master's degree in education. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm smarter. I just went extensive in understanding my content knowledge.
Mhm.
So then I realized I was doing too much explaining again,
Mhm.
and I stopped. And
Mhm.
I watched how everyone now is getting accolades on the same thing that I was doing. But when I was doing it, I was getting attacked.
Mhm.
And so I just, okay. Half
Mhm.
the nail techs right now that are working on clients like that, they don't have a license. They don't even have a state license.
Mm. And I like how you broke it down because, and that really, made me understand more about what you were doing because I think it's very important, especially with state board. I think state board doesn't teach a lot more in regards to the
Mm-hmm.
medical nail tech field and what goes into that and things like that. And I think I took cosmetology courses in my high school, but it never
Mm-hmm.
went into a depth in regards to, disinfection. I mean, it went to the
Mm-hmm.
basics of it, but it wasn't to
Right.
a full depth of disinfecting, sanitation, how to care for, different nail plates and stuff like that. So,
Right.
I do wish that the state board, I think across the board, would be more in depth on that.
I think the lost in the sauce is the right term for this, because what started to happen is you started to have an inflation of migrants from other countries that were skilled in this same skill set, but
Hmm.
there wasn't any resources that support them to go to school with everyone else. So what started happening is they started to learn from us, always on social media. And this is another thing, for the sake of content, and I get content, I do.
Hmm.
However, we gave away the whole game for free. So we cannot be mad at this moment in time and upset that people are now doing nails and the industry appears to be saturated. It's saturated because we showed everyone how to do our job.
Hmm.
I mean, if you sit there and show how you do a French, I'm a I'm a I'm a I am a I'm a visual learner. So there's 7 steps of learning, and I'm a visual learner. So all I need to do is see you do it one time, and I follow the steps, maybe twice, and I already know how to do it. Well, there's a lot of more people like me in the world. And I'm like, are
Hmm.
you serious right now? Like, you expect them to take your $500 course, but they can just watch you on Instagram every now and then, or your TikTok, and they're watching you do the same thing for free.
Hmm.
Just saying. Like, all
Hmm.
right. And when I say things, people are like, they feel like I am too radical about it, but I'm honest, because when it starts to affect your pockets, then you start asking and wondering what's going on in the industry. Well, what's going on is because everyone equally contributed to what's going on right now. What's going on right now is a saturation.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think another thing the state board, I think in terms of nail education, it'll be more in terms of the the financial thing,
Mm-hmm.
because when I went to do cosmetology courses, it wasn't as much in depth about the business aspect or the
No,
financial aspect in terms of taxes, insurance, and things like that. So it
none.
was
I had
kind
to
of like,
learn that.
there again, it was teaching you the basis, and pretty much you have to do the rest on your own. So
Mm-hmm.
I wish another thing too that would be improved more.
But even when I was saying it, it was like, I mean, well, I've done it this way. And it was like, okay, well, guess what? Cash App is now no longer existent. PayPal is not your best option. I promise you, I'm going to go back in some of my old archives and literally send you in a DM when I was basically telling people 3-4 years ago, hey, get your money out of Cash App. Stop
Hmm.
putting your business through PayPal. Stop using Venmo. I was like, because they're watching our business and they're clocking our money. And a lot of y'all don't know that we are being taxed at a $50,000 tax bracket, although some nail technicians don't make that money a year.
Mm.
I'm a numbers person. So I look at the numbers on everything. I'm a data person. I look at the data. I look at the data constantly. I mean, I'm constantly looking at what's going to eventually evolve and where the shift is going to need to happen. And when I
Hmm.
say things, people may not be ready to receive it, but it doesn't mean that I'm a radical. It just means I'm a visionary. I see it happening and I'm trying to tell you something.
Hmm.
Everyone, it was so much negative, and I got to the point where I'm not going to say anything because believe it or not, now people are charging you for what I gave you for free.
Mm.
I'm like, I told people, listen, if you are serious about your business, a tax ID is free. Tax ID number is free. Log on to irs.gov and you get your number. You go down to your state, you register your business. You pay for your 100 and whatever dollars a year, to keep your business
Hmm.
together. Okay. You go and you take that tax ID and your business name and you open up a bank account with $100. Okay. The minimum account is 2,500 in that account. You go and build it on up. Once they see that you're generating, they will offer you a POS system, in which a lot of people don't know what that is. That is a point of sale. That means you are able to take credit cards, debit cards, and process it just your payments that way. You also can use an external, which is PayPal. That is something when you want to do on e-commerce. I basically explained that to people. I was basically telling people about the 15 and 3. I was telling people that you need to make sure that you pay your credit cards on time. If you want a credit card increase, make sure that when you match your credit card at the due date, you have zero make payments. You made the payments 3 days before. This is all that I'm using. And I've been
Hmm.
doing the same thing. But because I'm not stunting on you, you don't think what I'm saying is valuable. And I just thought that was so asinine to me that you
Hmm.
want me to stunt on you for you to really see that my methods are working for me. Well, I'm telling you they work because I'm doing them. But
Right.
you're only going to measure if they work when I buy this Benz, or when I go lease a salon that now I have to generate my liquid cash into, because you're
Right.
not owning these, you guys are renting these.
Hmm.
This is what I'm saying to my ladies in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been saying this, and it was just negatively received. So just stop talking.
Mm. Now I want to push forward and talk about your AMMT and MMT course, your
Mm-hmm.
advanced medical nail tech course and your medical
Mm-hmm.
nail tech course. So tell us more about these programs and what do the students learn?
Okay, so that is the same exact program where I got my medical nail technician license, my advanced nail technician license, my master's certification, my autoimmune, and my clinical certified podiatrist assistant. That's all of what I got. And I excelled so well in the program that they extended the um, instructor course to me as well. And so I got certified through them as an instructor with them.
Mm.
And so when I did that, I was like, hey, y'all, get on this program because I know somebody y'all can talk to, that it's not oversaturated, that you can go at your own pace. I did it. Sign up for it. It's going to be used, because now those clients that do come in with those toenails like that, you can work on them. Now you have access to better products. You have access to podiatrists,
Mhm.
and those programs just pretty much go a little more in depth. on what may be wrong with your client. That you don't have to say anything, but you can nicely, recommend and support them in alternative options instead of the normal of what you offer. And it expands your expertise, but it also allows you to see how far you can go in the nail
Mhm.
tech, the nail world, and how you can be a liaison between others. And so that
Mhm.
program pretty much teaches you, in dealing with your clients who are suffering from chemo, dealing with your clients who have diabetes, identifying some of the things that you may have or deal with your clients with diabetes versus your clients or regular clients, certain things to ask for that isn't offensive. So you know how to move in a different direction. So it just gives you a little more in depth, and then it pretty much sets you apart from your regular nail tech,
Right.
because now you're more understanding as to why you should and shouldn't do things. You care more about the benefit of the client long term than short term. So the
Mhm.
programs pretty much is a course is online. You go at your own pace. There's no deadline or start time. It's just whenever you decide to be done with it, and you pretty much you learn step by step from a board certified podiatrist who's also sat on the as a witness and a key witness for a lot of these lawsuits. A lot of time
Mhm.
the nail industry just took another hit last maybe 2 3 years ago, 1.4 1.7 million of
Mm.
of a lawsuit. And no one be like, well, they just stand a
Wow.
third. Yeah, but had you had the proper training, you could have also avoided the service that could have avoided the lawsuit. And so that's what you learn in your medical nail technician program, is what to avoid for the long-term effects. So if a lot of people don't know that if your client just shaved their legs, they can't get a pedicure.
Wow. Really? Mm.
You cannot get a pedicure. A lot of nail tech don't know that nail technicians are not authorized to remove ingrowns.
Mm.
It's illegal. Now that's illegal. But you watch nail techs all day just shaving in those toenails and taking them on out. And I'm like, a lot of things that we're doing on social media, a lot of the videos and reels are literally, I know this for a fact, are literally being recorded and used in exhibits in lawsuits.
Mm.
So a
Wow.
lot of the things that are being done is proving the lawsuits, is helping the lawsuits push forward. And I'm like, I just don't want to be a part of that. I don't know how else to explain it, because again, you don't know that you're being used as evidence that
Mm.
non-properly trained nail tech, it's just the whole thing. Like, you don't know you're being used, because once you put your stuff out on social media, a lot of people don't even know that they've given Instagram access to their content. So you
Mm.
don't own it anymore.
Right.
Instagram does. So unless you legally own the rights to your copyrights or your trademarks, Instagram now owns your content.
Mm.
And if it's needed to be used, it's going to be used. So I just was trying to explain to people, like, get educated and certified so you have a reference. Once you have a reference, then no one challenges you.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
and that's what you learn in those programs. Like, don't do that. If they freshly shave their legs, shave your legs after your pedicure, not before. Because guess what? If that person has a cut and that water and you didn't clean it or it wasn't sanitized and it just,
Mm.
all they know is they went to get their nails and toes done and this is what happened after the fact. Who catches the hit?
Mm.
And that's what you learn in those programs, is to dodge those bullets. You get what I'm saying? And
Right.
so I'm just telling people, like, dodge those bullets, because it's though a lot of those bullets are coming. They're coming down. States going to go back and reinforcing their rules again, and some people are going to be the example. So to avoid being the example, let's just go ahead and get the certifications now. It's nothing but a couple of $100 out of your pocket and just cover yourself.
Mm.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely, most
Mhm.
definitely. I want to go ahead and push forward and talk about Neat Nails Always. So you have your own, gel line called Neat Nails Always.
Mhm.
So what was like the story behind starting your gel product line?
So Neat Nails always was a slogan. Um, I used to have the quality is key with Miami Ashlee, and the contour queen, the contour nail specialist. I used to have these little things in the beginning of my nail career that would be like my driving force that just keep it going on what I wanted my product and what it to be known for. So neat nails always was something I came up with in like 2015 when I explained that nails polish is supposed to be an option and your nails are supposed to be neat always. Like I hate a messy set. Like I don't like the fact that nails are all over the place. And I'm just like, neat nails always, because everywhere my clients went, they were always complimented on how neat everything was. And it wasn't up until the pandemic when I started to really look and see how businesses viewed and valued some of us. I didn't like it. I didn't like that I was constantly pumping money into someone else's future, yet mine was on hold. And so
Mhm.
in starting your own product line is just a few dollars in understanding. If you have your legit business, your product line is just your next additive. And so I really was expanding during the pandemic and transitioning from using acrylic paint and learning more of gel polish. And when I was researching and using gel polish, I was just spending my money on certain products that people were recommending, but they never explained how they got the product to do what it was supposed to do. And
Mhm.
so then I just sat down and I was just like, you know what? I got my own polish line, which I've had my own polish line for 10 years, which is Plush Pink. I've had that and I just retired the polish and I turned it into a gel. And then I was just like, but who said I can't have my own gel line? Hmm.
Mhm.
I went to looking. I said, wait a minute. I've been spending all this money with everybody else. And all it takes is $5,000 and waiting and patience and making sure you have a trademark. I made sure I had a trademark. And I had the trademark already and I was like, let's get to using it. I was like, what's the point of sitting? I had already
Right.
did Plush Pink. No, I already did Miami Ashley trademarks. And at that point I was like, neat nails always. And then I got with my guy at the time, Jimmy, graphic designer, and I was like, I'm thinking about doing a gel line. And it's neat nails always. What are you thinking? And he was like, I think I could whip up something for you. And I was like, all right, cool. And so I was like, la la la. And I forgot all about it. And then I opened up the email and I was like, it's an illusion. And he was like, you like it? And I was like, Neat Nails always still spells out MA for Miami Ashley. Oh yay, I'm gonna roll with it. And so I'm really big about branding yourself. Have your own. At the end of the day, like a lot of times when people wonder why what's the exclusivity about me and my clients tell them she owns the product line that she services us with. So she doesn't use products on us that she doesn't own. So
Right.
that's the exclusiveness. That's why you're paying. You're not gonna whatever color she has, you're not gonna find that because that's hers. And so that kind of like gave my clients that little zhuzh. And so when I did that, I was just looking at how much money to I was putting into companies for a product line for gel polish. And I was like, but what if a little girl was looking up and she don't necessarily want to be a nail tech, but she want to be a polish owner? We were
Mhm.
doing it, but it wasn't really us in the industry at the time that had a full line or a trademark.
Mhm.
And I was just like, I'll just go for it because I mean, it's plenty of different bread in the bread aisle.
Mhm.
People are gonna like what they like, and so when I tried it, it really did well. Um, it's still doing fairly well, and getting it out because it's still small and understanding how far I want to go with it. But it was more so the push during the pandemic of finding something that I could offset that I can, even introduce to my students. Like, you want to use gel polish, it's a good one, this, that, and third, providing options and
Right.
the creating the overall look. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm finding it very, very cool to see that more black nail techs and nail artists are
Hmm.
having their own product line. Tiny has her cuticle oils and her press on nail line. You have
Hmm.
Cover Batty nails, so it's really amazing to see.
And see, even down to me now, like there's so many brands that I haven't even found out about either, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just so excited and welcoming all of it because there has to be a time where we have something that we can offer our own community that keeps us motivated, that allows us not to necessarily be at the nail table, but be at a different table that offer options to other people because the industry is so vast and we can do so much. And I mean, and the products that we offer for our community, making it accessible because again, there's a lot of people who see us but don't see anyone else. And so
Right.
if we can provide that gap and just say, hey, we have a product, this and the third, it makes it easier. Because when I go to those shows, and I'm not biased, but I was in my mode of buying black for a while. And I just wanted only to buy black because it's
Mm-hmm.
different in doing business with us versus in how we do business with other people. And so it's not opportunities aren't granted to us as equally as other people may seem. And
Right.
so it is a little harder. And so when I do see someone doing it and pushing it, you have to commend, you have to applaud them because it's not easy for anyone of brown coloring, brown and black coloring, to get anything. We're not approved for loans and business grants like that, where that would make it easy to employ a staff and already have a mission
Right.
in place and how you want to run the business. Unfortunately, it takes some of us 10 years to do that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate, but that means we have to do a lot of self repairing ourselves in order for a bank to consider us or a business to look at us. And I've experienced a lot of tokenism, and I didn't like that too much. And so that was another thing that I didn't want to do anymore, is experience the tokenism of being the one black girl that's on the team to draw in more black girls. But then why can't we do this ourselves? Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Right. Build and buy black.
Right. That, I mean, I was in it for a while, and I mean, still in it. If I can buy from somebody who has it, hey, let me get that from you, sis. I appreciate it because at the end of the day, it makes it easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
Run right to my sister and be like, hey, let me get that. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you, appreciate you, because I want to keep the money in our community,
Right.
and the money in our community allows our community to thrive. And if the money is taken out of our community, it only makes it harder for us to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just learned that I just want to be part of the solution and not the problem.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. Now, if you had to describe the Miami Ashley style, what would it be?
Ah, it's in your face. Um, no matter where I go, you're gonna see me. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're gonna see me. You're gonna see my glasses, you're gonna see my jewelry, you're gonna see something. My brand is in your face. It's in your face whether you like it or not. And I did that intentionally so I don't have to do any more um explaining my character. It is what it is. You see what you get, and if you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. It's
Mm,
like it doesn't need to be altered. It's spicy, it's whatever you want it to be. It works. And
mm-hmm.
so my brand is just more so it's not afraid. It's just gonna go out there, even if it has to do it on its own, it'll stand. And that's what I wanted my brand to be, where it pretty much makes money for itself. So my business pays for itself. I now it allows me to step away and do other projects because now I've gotten to the point where the brand is known. It takes care of itself.
Mm, absolutely. Now, if you had a top five list of your favorite nail artists, who would they be and why?
Top five. Okay, so I love Queen of Nails. I love her creativity, but like Sean has a gift of gab that'll make you be like, yeah, sis, pop your ish, girl, yes. And when you
Right.
meet her, she's so sweet, and you're like, I love it. Um, Beauty Asylum would be one of my favorite artists, and I like Olivette because her style is hers.
Right.
It's owned. It's confident. It's sachet, and I love the artistic ability that she has to captivate like her own creativity in art. She's not trying to be like anybody else. She just does her own thing, and I like that so much about her because that's what keeps it creative. Because I learned a few things from her too, when I worked side by side with her. um Another artist of mine, I don't know if it's Michelle. Is it Michelle LL? I know she owns the nail lab. I think it's the nail lab.
Hmm.
She has an acrylic line. I have to go back and double check on on her name. I know it's not her name is Michelle, and she's based out of Detroit. But her
Mhm.
work is so neat. It's yummy to me. Like it looks like candy. Like it's just I just want to eat it. Like when she like
Right.
has her like little videos and I'm just like, oh, it just looks like a little gummy bear. Like what is another artist of mine that I like? That's my top three. Um because with the algorithm now you can't really see anyone's work anymore. The nail lady,
Mhm.
I like her work a lot. It's very neat. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm a sucker for some neat stuff. Like I can't get away with it. I can't get away from it actually. And I think it's Nails by Portia.
Mhm.
I might be wrong. I really have six because Haven Fabulash has become one of my favorites as well. I
Mhm.
like all over the art creativity. Um, I don't like anything that just looks uniform anymore. And so each of those artists have a uniqueness to them, where they make their work look so neat it almost looks fake. It doesn't even look
Right.
real. It doesn't even look like it's supposed to be there. It's almost look like a stencil. And so I know that type of work takes some time and they put a lot of work in their craft. And so those would be my favorite um,
Mhm.
nail technicians out of those. There's so many more, but because of the algorithm, I see them more. Then I
Mhm.
get to see all the ones I would like to start seeing the growth because again, what I used to like, they may have gotten so much better and now they may be my new fave. I may have to do a
Right.
reshuffle. And so the algorithm has really messed me up a little bit because I can't see who I want to see anymore. And so
Right.
those are the top ones that is chosen. So I'm just like, I'm glad I get to see those artists, but those are the only ones I get to see now with the algorithm. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, as of recently on our Instagram live, you talked about your struggle with mental health. So, in regards to with mental health, how have you been able to balance being a nail artist and a businesswoman with mental health?
So, mental health is real. A lot of people, they try to lie about it. And the struggle gets to a point where it's too much. At the height of Miami Ashley, I was put on a pedestal that I didn't want to stand on at all.
Mhm.
And I was held to this standard and I had to do things according to this standard and do things according to this. And it was almost like I was being retaught how to be liked. And I
Mhm.
didn't understand that. I didn't understand why do we feel that we need to always alter somebody to do anything with other people? Why can't we allow people to be accepted for who they are? And that becomes a struggle because that's not me. I'm not a yes man. I stand 10 toes. I've always been the strongest of every group I've ever been in. I mean, there comes a point where, if I had to go and do things on my own where I wish I had support, shit, you gotta do it on your own. You can't do nothing about whether people are gonna be there or not. I've been met with so many life situations where I've had to survive. I've had to stand tall. Then
Mhm.
finally realized, you know, but I have a pulse,
Right.
right? I have a
Mhm.
real pulse, and that pulse was beating so heavy. Like, hello, like you
Mhm.
do all this for people, but okay, the ship is sinking slowly. Okay, and here you are patching it up, and you keep on moving because you got to be there to support this person, and you got to be there. And you know what I realized? What wore me out? How nobody supported me the way I supported them.
Mm.
Mentally, it hit on. I always got up. I was getting into it with people and this, that, and third. I've always had everybody back because I was that strong friend. And when I needed them strong people, everyone left me hanging because I was
Mhm.
strong one, right? Well, that mentally will alter you.
Right.
It will alter you because then you start realizing you're just not that important to people unless you have
Mhm.
some type of value to them.
Mhm.
And then I sat, and it was a moment of realization, like life. I started to realize the people that I was defending wasn't defending me, so I was being betrayed. I was being stabbed behind my back. Then that pulse started to come back in again to remind me that I was a human being, and at that moment I just crumbled. I realized I didn't like half of the people in the industry that I was affiliating with.
Mm.
I was kind of forced into acting a certain way to parlay with people so I wouldn't be perceived. I didn't like none of that. I didn't like being altered for somebody else. I don't want to have to change me for you to like me. If you don't like me, you just don't like me. I'm not on that anymore. I'm not.
Right.
And I really crumbled because I'm just like, the realness of is on a regular day, I wouldn't affiliate with you.
Mm.
And I was forcing myself to be somebody I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
for an industry that would drop me at a drop of a dime. For
Mm-hmm.
people who left me hanging, for friends that say they were my friends, and you have to learn that you're not in everybody's top five. And that doesn't mean they don't care. But let's be honest. I tell everybody, do an analyze. Stop calling for a while. 30 days even. See who comes looking for you. That will let you see where you stand with a lot of people. And I don't like when
Right.
people use that excuse where everyone's going through something. Everyone is.
Absolutely.
Everyone is.
Mm-hmm.
But checking on someone is free. Hey girl, just saying
Exactly.
how you doing? You okay? I got to the point where I was calling people who didn't even respond back. But they were calling other people, and me and those people were talking. And then I got privy to those not so private conversations that was being talked about me that came back. And I tell people, like, are you aware of when you hang up the phone, they pick up and call me? That mentally
Mm.
took a toll on me too. Then to, in the industry, getting into it with nail techs, and then it's divided because you want to attack this nail tech, and I'm like, why are you attacking them? But then if somebody who isn't afraid of you challenges you, you want to go create a private clubhouse group and have a whole conversation where I'm blocked out. Like, it just became so catty to I mentally realized I didn't like who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, this is just not going to work for me. Mentally, I crumbled because I was getting my fit. I was being misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't valued equally. I
Mm-hmm.
was being tokenized, being used, and it was like, no, no, no. I noticed that when I stopped doing things for people didn't move like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to do that. If I post, it's like at this point in my life, is reciprocation is what I'm requiring, and you need to. If you do anything, I mean, if you do something out the goodness of your heart, then do that. But
Right.
when we're talking about business at this point, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, because I know what my influence is going to do, and if it's not going to benefit me to do business with you, I just got to let that go. And you
Mm-hmm.
can't be mad about it. You cannot be mad about when you know that you're walking into an unfair treatment. You have
Mm-hmm.
to say something now. You have to, because I've experienced that. Betrayal. I mean, I've listened not so private conversations that came right back from people who I respected, who would never would have thought had made mouth on me like that. But if I put my mouth on them, I'm gonna rip them to shreds. And then I'm back
Mm-hmm.
into what I call parent teacher conference. Now I'm on a phone call with multiple people about how I hurt this person's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, when you realize you have everybody's back and nobody has yours, you learn something.
Mm-hmm.
You learn something. I'm still strong today, but I'm gonna be strong for me.
Mm-hmm.
It
Absolutely.
takes a group of women to attack me, a
Mm-hmm.
group, constantly. And anytime I challenge anyone or what have you, they just stop talking to me and go befriend somebody else, and not mind you. And that thing will take a toll on you when you're constantly the warrior, and now it's time to battle for you, and you left the fight. And every battle I had to fight, I sometimes barely made it out. But
Mm-hmm.
when you make it and you wounded, you're just thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, and there's those thinking times where you're by yourself that it's beating you down. And my saving grace is my mom. I mean, she saw me crumbling. It was like a crumble of crumble, like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just barely holding on with the little bit that I had left, like right before I finally just like gave out. And she came in like the bottom of the inning, and she came out of nowhere with like to save me, like, let me pump you up. And it was like she saw me crumbling, because at that point it's like strong people do not get the same energy as the weaker friends.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say weaker friends, it's the ones that, they need that support. They need, to be reassured by your friendship. And, if somebody mess with them, you're going to look out for them. And those people get used to that. But what happens for you always stepping up and standing firm to the attacking happening to you?
Mm.
And that's what I had to realize. Mentally, I crumbled. I was crumbling. Like, I didn't like where I was. I didn't like how I was being treated. I didn't like how I was being valued. And I'm very big on words. And I can tell by words and disposition how people are talking to me. I just stand firm. I'm not stupid. I'm firm. And really, I just got to a point where I just don't need the people that was around me anymore. Mm-mm. And
Mm-hmm.
I forced myself to try to, because the industry said that, you gotta be this way, and for the companies to look at, you don't
Mm-hmm.
you don't you can't alter. And I hate that people feel that they need to keep altering themselves to be accepted.
Right.
And so when it finally real hit, mentally I crumbled. I just crumbled. I just dropped the weight. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just let it go. Like, you can't fight every day, all day. And it got to the point where I was fighting every day. Every
Mm-hmm.
day. And I'm like, I'm fighting against people who really don't care for me. I'm trying to prove a point for, if I was to die tomorrow, nobody would know about it. Like, you would hear about it weeks later. Like, and this is when I valued who valued me. And that's when things changed for me. I stopped apologizing. Mentally, I started seeking counseling, you know, because I'm just like, am I wrong? Because now I'm always being perceived as the hothead, but I'm addressing you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not rude, I'm addressing you. And a lot of people don't like to be corrected. And so when I discussed it, I'm like, mentally, be mindful of people, because that one word you say might push them over the edge, and you might be the
Right.
person that they push it. And I think people started to really like weigh it out a little bit, because
Mm-hmm.
people are always walking around here discussing how bad mentally they're being beat down. They
Mm-hmm.
can't some days. Some days the words don't have sound. They
Mm-hmm.
don't. And people always think that certain things is a cry out for attention or a rant. Pay attention to what people are saying, because sometimes that is it. Right before they off themselves or drive off a cliff or hang, and I realized, I was like, I can see how people with lack of support can really feel like they can't hack it. They can't
Mm-hmm.
hack it. And I'm just glad, like, and I think my mom knew by my shortness. Um, I lost weight. I ain't really talk too much. And I was zoned out all the time. And it was at that moment where she needed to fill my cup, and I had to be reminded, of things that I needed to change, that I've allowed, and that I didn't have to. And that through the experience, it was just an experience, but it doesn't have to change me for the negative. It can change me for a better outlook on the positive. And it took my mom like almost a year to work on me, and I still had to go to work. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn that clients don't care. Okay, they don't. You have to take care of you, and for those who do care, that's who you have to focus on. And I struggled, body was breaking down last year, and didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it. I found out why it was breaking down this year. And so I had to make some life decisions this year. That was in a benefit of me and in my mental health, because psychologically it was going to take me down again. And this time my clients kind of caught on. They were like watching it, and they were like, okay, we got you. Like, this bus is not gonna, sway us on in. We got floats, we got rolls, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point it'll take you down. And at that
Right.
moment, like, they became my biggest support when I finally was like, yeah, I'm struggling. And they're like, well, what, how can we help? Like, what is it? And when I
Mm-hmm.
told them what was going on, majority of my whole entire clientele was going through the same exact thing. And they were like, oh, well, we can help you with this. We can figure out this. We can find out. And they were like, that makes sense, because a lot of times when people thought that I was having an attitude, I was having a chemical imbalance problem. I had headaches
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes. I had an accident when my car got totaled, so I didn't even have a car for a year, and I still made it to work. So it was like mentally a lot was going
Mm.
on, and I was still
Wow.
trying to, yeah, like I had for a whole year working, and I didn't miss a beat on work. I didn't have a car.
Mm.
And I thank God for my
Wow.
boyfriend. He had a car that he let me borrow. But if I didn't have him, I didn't have a car. Then I would have people always bring me their excuses. Meanwhile, I'm struggling over here trying to figure out, I need another car. My business is taking care of itself. Body's breaking down. You still trying to keep on pushing, but keep pushing, keep pushing. And you tell yourself, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Okay, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're human. Just
Right.
stop. Just stop. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if people view you differently, it's so many people in the world, you don't have to deal with them anymore. So that it took me a long time to mentally get out of that. And the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, it didn't hit me in the beginning, it hit me in the end. And that's when my mental spiral started to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was like the companies I was working for was taking a shift for themselves. So they were cutting us all off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Right.
whoa, okay. You can't even get the resources you wanted to. Okay. Phone
Mm-hmm.
calls weren't getting answered, emails were going blank. And
Mm-hmm.
and people do that to you. And so people think it's a rejection, but it's really not a rejection. It's a form of a new interjection. And so a lot of things were happening to me that I've experienced, and I just never said anything about it. And I watched the same companies that would drop some of us go and pick up the same people who watched us work for them, and they never questioned anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
after a while, I just want nail techs to understand, like, you're human and it's okay. Like, sometimes this get rough. If you're a mom, it get rough. If you're battling for fertility, it gets rough. If you're battling with mental health, it gets rough. Like, just be transparent. We don't have to be robotic. We don't have to be systemic for anybody. No,
Right.
just open up and say something, because somebody may be able to provide you with a resource that may be your outbreak, your breakthrough. I mean, and so I just got to a different point in restoring myself. So that's been my biggest focus on my mental health. Like, I was just like, I'm not good anymore. And a lot of times people's frustration comes from mentally they haven't addressed that they're tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then one of the things that I've observed being in the nail industry is, people don't credit other nail artists in regards to, inspiration. You know what I mean? And even like some of the stuff that I've seen, I've witnessed like certain people show their true colors of how they truly are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, like, certain people that you looked up to,
Mm-hmm.
they say something that's problematic, and I had a panel discussion with myself, Mimi, Tiny, and Tanika, where we
Mm-hmm.
talked about accountability and credibility in the nail industry. And we mentioned about the racism in the nail industry.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it tells you, who's, true colors show.
For me, if a nail technician tags me on my work, I'm so happy that they were inspired to want to do something from my page. Like, I am
Mhm.
not a hater, bro. Like, I'd be like, yeah,
Right.
girl, do that shit. Do it again.
Right.
And do it again. Do it in blue. Do it in whatever. And I think people got
Right.
so used to, she stole my work. Well, sweetheart, technically it's no longer yours. Once you posted it on social media, you gave it away to whoever wanted to see it.
Mhm.
The lack of crediting came from, we do it too. We do it too. We would take something from a whole nother artist. But what people don't know is they're late at night while all the world is sleeping, they're late at night on your page thinking of you. Okay. They're on your page looking at your work, and they're gonna recreate it. And they don't feel like they owe you because it came off social media.
Right.
So I tell people, when you put your work out there, intend for it to be you want it stolen. Let them
Mhm.
steal it. It's okay. Because guess what? It's all gonna fall back in who did it first. And even if it don't, I remember way before the other nail techs came in, um, the unicorn nail is the prime example I'm gonna name. A nail technician out of Memphis, Tennessee created that trend. She had been doing that trend since the 90s. It's an
Mhm.
old trend. She's been doing it since the 90s. So when I sat with her and I realized how powerful social media was. When I sat with her and she taught me this nail trend, I was so excited. I was like, yeah. So I finally whipped it out and brought it to Nashville and I showcased it. And I was like, yes, my girl Andrea, Nail Tik out of Memphis, taught me this. And somebody, we know her name, and I know exactly what else it did not think to ask how we did it. Went and created her interpretation of it, posted it on Facebook. It went viral. The
Mm.
now it was taken from her, renamed, and nobody got credit for it.
Mm.
You know why we don't get credit? Because we do it to each other. And she was one of us. She did it to us. And
Mm.
she saw the trend on me and Andrea's page. Didn't even credit us.
Mm.
Went and did her own rendition of it. And the whole industry now calls this drill in the nail swirled a unicorn nail. And that's not how it's done. Nobody with any real good training would ever take a carbide drill into a foundation nail. Why would we do that?
Mm.
We're not doing that's not how we created the trend. The trend is removable,
Mm-hmm.
but the trend that they're doing is not. You have
Mm.
to drill that nail down and reform it. We don't. We just drill the nail down and keep going because it's a nail already there that we built that on top of. But
Right.
what they're doing is they're building the nail and they're drilling out the nail. That's not how we created the trend. And the trend is healthy for the client's nail because it can grow
Right.
with the nail or you can take it off. And so when I saw that, I knew then I had to get out of my feelings about anybody taking or inspired by anything I put out. So if I wanted something to be exclusive, I just didn't put it on social media.
Mm.
And I hate that because I want to share with my sisters in the industry. I want to share with us, but we racist with each other too. We prejudice with each other. Oh, I don't like her, she ghetto. Or I don't like her, she nerdy. Or I don't like what? Why are we doing that? Why can we not accept that God created us in all different forms? But baby, we are all sisters. Let's see what you can give me and I can give you. How can you help me reform myself? And how can I fix? Like, why can it not be a learning? And you know where that came from? We stopped working together in salons.
Mm.
None of us work together anymore. We're by ourselves. So when you have the social media right now, I've been doing nails long enough that I can see every nail tech who copy who, where they got it from. It's one particular nail tech right now. She steals everybody's work. She don't credit nobody. And the whole industry is still click, click, like, and she gets all the accolades. But what does that do for somebody who's been working and don't have that type of engagement? It discourages them. But we're
Mm.
doing it to each other. So how can we expect other people to respect us when we do it to each other with no
Absolutely.
regard at all? Like, and it's upsetting because all they want is credit for the
Mm-hmm.
work that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
That helps their business. That helps them thrive. That helps them gain more clientele. That helps them expand their business. But why did you feel like it was okay? But when it's done to them, then it became time. Then it's time for a change. So it's like, I don't like that. I don't. So anytime a nail tech credit me, I always make sure I respond and say, oh, that's dope. I like it. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for nail techs that see my work because I'm like, hey sis, I see you. You doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? And that and you
Right.
need that. You need that.
Absolutely.
You need
Mm-hmm.
that. There's so many nail techs that don't even think that I will respond. Yeah. Cause I think that's cute. And I really like that. And if you see anything else, don't forget to tag me so I can keep commenting. Because I mean, I've been on social media now for a while. I mean, I got over almost 3,000 photos on there. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I don't know what the algorithm is allowing you to see. You might see something from April. Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
realizing that the algorithm has really got me looking at stuff in July that I already saw already. And we're in September. So,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like that amongst us, the racism and the non-crediting. I hate that. I mean, just give the nail tech credit.
Mm-hmm.
so she can at least interact with you, and it shows that we are interacting. So if there is a collective meeting of like minds, and you'll be considered as one of those people, you want to be considered, and that's what happens. People don't get considered because you show your true colors and how you treat people.
Right.
So I agree with you on that. Like, a lot of people, they show their true colors, and then when you meet them in person, it's even worse. It's like, yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Last but not least, where can people find you on social media? How can people support you and your business?
So I've been I went to school here in Tennessee too, so I did a lot of in school. But where a lot of people support my business by me seeing me, and my clients are walking advertisement a lot. I really base my business off social media. I just know of social media is a way for people to see my portfolio. But my business has always thrived off word of mouth. So if social media shut down tomorrow, I'll still be booked. So that's the thriving force, word of mouth. You don't want to be known just on social media. You want to be known locally too. You want to be, and it's crazy how my homegirl said this happened to me, but I guess that was part of the goal. You want to be able to go somewhere, and when you walk past, your friends or whoever hear who you are. That's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Right.
different. I don't want to be known on just for social media. Like, oh, do you know who that is? Right. But if social media shut down tomorrow, the books are still full. The clients know how to get in contact with me because I did everything before social media. Like, once I got on social media, I already had a book clientele, so it was new to me. Like, so what are you saying? We put our work on here? Like, I used to have to be my clients like, what? They was like, you didn't post this week. Well, I don't know about this gram thing, and everyone was on it and I wasn't. I was like, what is this Instagram thing? So I just upload and then what? And then do what? And I used to be like that because I was like, what? So you say put my pictures on there and then say what underneath? And that's it? You just leave it? And then people just, oh. And so when that was introduced to me by one of my clients, they laughed at me because I was just like, that's it? You just upload and people just like it? And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, wow. This is new. Because I've been used to old school. You go hand out your cards, you go to the club, you have your hair done, you have your nails done, you give your address, like you just walking billboard. And I'm like, I don't have to be the walking billboard? Oh, yeah, sign me up. Sign me up. So now I'm like, well, got the nail thing down packed. What else am I going to do? So now, like, I'm between two laptops next to me here. And I teach 9th grade biology.
That's amazing.
And so everyone's like, what? I was like, yeah. So you thought I was just a nail girl, huh? Like, and that's another thing too. Like, people don't really consider how smart we are, and that we choose to be in this industry. It's not something we have to do because this is our only option. And I think that was the narrative too that I started to see, is that we weren't valued at all. Like, no one thought that we even were smart. And I'm like, oh, this is bad. Like, because we're so smart. It's so many well-educated women in the industry. We just chose Nailz because it allows you to interact, with your community. But then when, you're not valued for your intellect, it's like, it changes you a little bit. But I mean, it's all to the good. I just think right now, like, we're in that transition period where all of us need to gear up for the next phase. And this is the stuff that we got to shake off, the the not feeling good enough, the not worthy, the dealing with the mental depression, or dealing with the bipolar depression, or dealing with functional depression, or dealing with the insecurity. Yeah, let's shake that off now, because it can be much better once you kind of get out of it. The pandemic hit some people in the beginning, and some people still in it, coming out. And so I just really think, like, I'm just grateful for that, to see things at a different standpoint. But now I know where my purpose is, and I just want to be more impactful. So if I can inspire and be impactful, that's pretty much my main focus at this point. So if I have anything anybody has, they can have it, because it's not going to do me any good if I die tomorrow. Stop holding on to things that, don't serve a purpose. I mean, the only thing I care about is having breath in my body and the ability to be better than I was yesterday. So I'm just looking at life a little different. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Miami Ashley, for jumping on the show. Your work is absolutely great. I love this
Thank you.
conversation.
It
I
was
love
great.
how you talked a lot of good gems and things like that. I really appreciate this conversation. It was awesome. Thank
It
you.
was awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I wish I would have responded before, but these DMs don't always bing. But this was great. I think they need to this is a great opportunity too for nail techs. And I like what you're having done because we don't have a podcast. We don't talk about the real stuff. And we do. We need to talk about it without being ashamed and have an open space to create space. And I
Mhm.
just want to be part of the solution and not the problem. So if there's a space that needs to be open and needs to be created, I am all for trying to create a space because that is the main key focus on really how we're going to thrive is if we work together. So this is great.
Mhm.
I really appreciate it. This is dope. So I definitely be tuning in after I watch it to see everyone else because I've been watching them too. I was like, oh, wait, she's wrote me. Gotta get. And I was like, you know what? When you wrote me again, I was like, I'm definitely doing it. I'm in. You just tell me when, and I'm there. So I definitely appreciate what you're doing. So this is definitely it.
Yes, thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye bye.